Incredible day, family. Welcome to the Your Perspective Matters podcast. And I am your host, Ronald. On today, I want to continue the month of March as we celebrate women all over the world, women that are killing it in their industry, women that are conquering struggles, and just even the perspective of women in general. I'm all for women empowerment, and I'm just excited on this month because not only do you get to hear from me, but you get to hear from a lot of amazing women on this podcast. And the person that I have on today is no stranger to the podcast for sure. This is the I want to say the third time, but second time published, or about to be published rather. And this is going to be exciting. So, welcome back, Mariah. How you doing?
I am good, Ron. How are you doing?
I am incredible. I'm excited to see you. You already know.
That is something.
Let's get it. So, I want to jump into because we've spoken several of times, and a lot has changed. A lot has transitioned in your life. And I want to talk about let's talk about that. It's been a minute since I can't even remember exactly what happened, but I know that you wasn't teaching the last time we spoke, correct?
Correct.
And you were trying to get into teaching. So let's talk about the transition. How was that transition from going from, I believe, the restaurant into teaching kids?
It was definitely like needed, and it was definitely um I won't say an adventure, but like it's kind of like I walked straight into it. Like you could tell God had a lot to do with it, right? Like for me, I was working in the restaurant, and like I don't know, it was just like I'm not gonna say addicting, but it was like you're not really making the money you need to make here, and you're not really in favor of the hours, like
Mm,
being like these crackhead hours. But it was just like God do what you gotta do. And so once I basically went from doing that, so before I even came to Houston, I was already doing substitute teaching in Atlanta, but I hadn't did substitute teaching much out here in Houston at that time. So I had already like when I first found out I was moving, immediately I signed up to be a substitute teacher out here. I was like, okay, whatever I need to do to get my documents in order to start teaching in Houston, like substitute, I will, just because I knew I was moving here with no job. So I'm like, at least I could secure that. So by the time I got here, I ended up finding other ways of income before I started actually substitute teaching, but I was eligible for substitute teaching. I was already in the system. So by the time I started working at the restaurant, those substitute teaching jobs started to come up more. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I should start taking some of these in addition to working at the restaurant. So I started taking those as well. And that's when income started to get better. And then from there, when I was substitute teaching at the schools, one of the schools I was substitute teaching at, they basically were like, "Hey, do you want to be there forever?" And so here we are. So I came to them and asked, "Is there any openings?" They said, "Yeah, we do." Went filled it in. They interviewed me and then they offered me like, "Can you come?" So that's kind of how I ended up as a full time teacher through substitute teaching, and that's how I kind of got out of the restaurant because, like I said, it was almost addicting, and I ended up getting fired actually from the restaurant because my availability wasn't as open as it was when I first started because I
right,
was doing stuff that had pertained to education.
right.
So yeah, so it was like I had to get out of there and I couldn't get myself out. So like, I feel like God worked his not his magic, but he waved his hand and he snapped his fingers and he said, "I'll get you out." So yeah.
It's so crazy how like God uses, and He's so patient with us. Let's start with that, right? God is definitely extremely patient with us, and when He wants to get our attention or when He wants us to move a certain way, um, not all the time, but sometimes it could be a seamless transition. And I'm pretty sure when you lost your job, you were going through it in terms of trying to figure out how can I flow into, keep getting that income back, right? As well as more so purposed work or doing something that you're passionate about or doing something that you love. And now you're here in a situation, or not situation, but you're at you're teaching where as often as you are where you wasn't teaching as much before. So talk to me about like number one, the not the transition, but the challenge that you had to face when it comes to like even creating a curriculum and then you gotta be there every single day and show up for the kids. Talk to me about that.
So with my school, I'm fortunate that the curriculum is made, but that doesn't make it easier off rip. Um, and I say that from the perspective of somebody who has not worked in a school where you do have to create your own curriculum. So teachers who are creating their own curriculum, please don't come for me. But what I will say is, I feel like if I created my own curriculum, you're not gonna have to teach me how to teach my own curriculum.
Right.
Whereas for me, I'm coming into a space where they have curriculum for us, and I started in the middle of the school year. So it was kind of like a fast track training on like, hey, this is how you teach this curriculum. And I'm thankful that my school does have PD days. I think it's called professional development. We call them PD days. So it's like when we go in for these PD days, they're reteaching us how to do the curriculum and answering questions that me and other teachers have. So I'm really thankful for that. But the first PD day that I had my laptop, my school laptop, but my apps were not populated on there yet. So my apps weren't populated. If they were populated, I had no registration, like no email and password to get in. So while they're walking us through it, I'm watching. You get what I'm saying?
Mm.
I'm watching them, and it's almost kind of like trying to learn a different language. It's like you're watching this presentation in Chinese, but you speak English, so you don't even know what notes to take because it's like you're telling me how to get in and out of these programs and apps, but I'm not even familiar enough with the curriculum to know what my students need to know versus what they don't. You know what I mean?
Right.
We're in a training for kindergarten through third grade. So they're like, if you're in kinder, you may or may not, da, 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 but first through third, you guys for sure, blah, blah, blah. So it's like, oh, okay, wait. So we do that, we don't do that. You know what I mean? It's like you're trying to figure out too many things at once. So with the curriculum, I just do my best to really go over it before it's time to present it and like think like, how can I teach this? You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
math, they give us the manipulatives to do it, so that makes it really easy. When it comes to like the RLA, like arts, I feel like very confident in being like, okay, I can tell them like, okay, this is this letter, or you can do this activity, and then it's really about like, how can I make sure they're grasping it? It's almost, I think the hardest part of having a curriculum that they give you is trying to assess at that level. They're five and
Mm.
so it's not like you can give them a test and say read 1 through 5 and bubble in the best answer. They don't know how to read.
Right.
You know what I mean? But you also have to make sure that are you getting anything? You know. So showing up for them every day, I feel like has gotten easier now that I see where they need me.
Mm.
Like starting off the school year, it was kind of like I'm coming in every day, but like, do you guys know? Like, what do you know? What do you not know? So now that we have gotten, I've been there since September, so now it's January. Oh no, February. So now it's February. Well, no, it's March. Basically, it's March. So at this point, all this time has gone by. Now I can actually see where my kids are and see like, okay, you tend to know your letter sounds, but you mix up these specific ones, or you know your letter sounds, but now you need to work on blending the sounds to put
Mm.
ah to put stop together. You know ah but you don't know how to put it together. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
teaching them all of those things is very important. So figuring that stuff out. Maybe some of them they're doing great academically, but socially, it's like we got to figure out how to socialize you a little bit, or you don't have to keep your hands to yourself. You can't sit down. So it's really just now that I see where I'm needed, it makes it much easier to show up for them. But
Mm.
now I'm noticing for myself, it's hard to show up for myself because I'm
Mm.
trying to show up for my kids so much. Um, and I don't know. I just think like when I think back to being in school, like kindergarten through senior year, I remember like how it was like so distinctly. Like sometimes I could really remember sitting in the classroom taking notes, like from different grade levels. So it's like when I think of those things, I don't want my kids to look back and think like Miss Murray didn't care, or Miss Murray didn't prepare us. Because I can probably list off 3 teachers where I'm like, girl, you just had us in there vibing, like you didn't care about our education.
Mm.
So trying to figure out how to show up for them and myself and how to manipulate the curriculum for them can sometimes be the biggest challenge. But
Mm.
Just got to keep going, you know.
I wanted to ask you, do you have like a specific desire? Because me knowing you for quite some time, you have a structured mind when it comes to certain things, and you are an innovator. And I'm curious to know, like, do you do you have a specific desire or any ideas, or maybe even creating or even trying to revamp their curriculum?
I've never thought of that, to be honest with you. I've always known, like even before teaching here, I started a
Hmm.
YouTube channel, but I didn't post anything. I didn't get it off the floor. I created it, and the purpose of it was going to be Miss Murray's room. So it's going to be me posting teacher content that you can play with students to help them. But I never got a chance to really sit down and create my curriculum because life kept moving. So it was like, okay, I thought I was going to be in Georgia in the studio doing videos, but record scratch, I ended up in Houston working a regular job. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it was no longer content creation as like a goal, as making that my full time. It was kind of like I'm gonna have to pause content creation and get my bills together, and then I'm gonna come back to it.
Okay.
But yes, I could technically, take notes from what I see them doing and think of like what I already have in my own head and create my own thing. Um,
Right.
in the long run, because in my what I'm working on my social work degree, and in the long run I do want to create different resources and different programs and curriculums, and even summer programs or winter programs where students or children can go and learn, and parents can also get resources on how to teach their own students,
Right.
because I think that especially in the climate that we're in right now politically, um, it is going to be imperative that you know how to teach your own child at some point, just to be safe. Even if, let's just say, the curriculums and stuff that get put into place, you're still okay with them. We have to realize that we're burning our teachers out left and right. So, in the event that they do get a teacher that was willing to take the job on, some of these teachers are coming to school drunk. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that that's my school. I'm just saying we have to be
Mhm.
logical here. Think about the worst employee at your own job.
Mhm.
They come in, they clock in, they get a coffee cup, and they look busy until it's time to go.
That part.
And so we have people that are teaching in the same way. Look busy
Mhm.
until it's time to go. So, and with that in mind, it's like, do you want that to be your child's future? And of course, you still have a whole full time job to feed this child who's not getting nothing at school. So you're gonna have to
Mhm.
figure out, how can I make it something I can actually do so that my child is not stuck in a bad position when they are done with school, but they didn't learn nothing in school. So those are the type of things I want to do. I want to create like extra support for the students who need it but don't have it at school, and for the parents who can be that support for their kids, I want to teach them how. Because we all remember the, if 9 plus 9 is 3 and 7, like how the parents was just going, and then how many bananas Johnny have? And it's like, oh dad, I don't know, I don't know. We don't want them to do that, you know what I mean?
Right.
So we got to figure out how to help these people help themselves.
Yeah. And it's so I love your thoughts on it, and I love your desire for it, because we need people, especially in the teaching industry, right? And there's a couple other different industries, but specifically, as a teacher, you are the one that's going to, you are quote unquote conditioning our kids, right? And if we don't focus on conditioning them in the right way, right, or just not conditioning them at all, and then they just be, available for everything, there's no defense on them. They have no structure. There's nothing for them to look at. There's nothing for them to defend themselves. Then we are eventually raising up a generation that is defenseless. Um, so number one, I think that I love that about you, and it is so important that we have people that actually want to be a part of the kids' lives and actually change it. Like what you said, some people come in and they just waiting to leave. Like, all right, I'm doing my thing, look busy. All right, it's time to go. I'm out of here. Take your kids because I need to go get a drink or I need to go whatever, you know?
Yeah.
So that's important. Um, and I know that being a teacher, right? Because I known I know quite a bit of teachers that I'm friends with, and I've known traveling around. They encounter a lot of different struggles, like personal struggles, right? What's one of the things that you struggle with when it comes to teaching?
So some teachers get paid differently. Um, we are on a 12-month pay cycle, so we get paid once a month. And I think my biggest struggle is how to manage that money, because so the way our pay schedule works is we get paid on the 28th of each month typically, unless for some reason the dates are a little weird, but we always get paid right before the first, basically. So for people who pay bills, what's due on the first? Everything. Your
Right.
rent's due. For me, my car note is due at the end of the month, basically the same day I get my check. So
Mm,
I get my check, I pay my bills, I probably have $100 and some change left for a month.
mm,
So, and also too, and this is probably something that I'm still trying to figure out. Like, God, I don't understand.
yeah.
Um, I've been working on paying my tithes. So with the
Mm,
money that I make, if I didn't pay my tithes, I would have at least $500 and some change to make it from paying my bills to the next check.
right.
But I feel like, and I had to get to this place because I wasn't always in this place. I'm like, honestly, God, like I just need to hold on to that money because when something happens, blah, 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 blah. Then I moved into a space where I said, God, you literally gave me this job. Like, I'm not going to sit here and tell the whole story of how I found my job, but literally, like, I'm not saying it as everything comes from God. Yes, everything comes from God, but literally, God
Right.
walked me into that position.
Yeah.
So, like, without God, I would not have had it. Like, and I know
Mm,
people say I wouldn't have life without God. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's very general. But I mean specifically, like with
yeah.
intimate details. I know that God walked me into that job. So it would be kind of disrespectful to not give him the tithe, the 10%.
Mm,
Knowing that literally, if he didn't give me that job, I would still be having $300 weekly checks
yeah.
that I was struggling to survive on.
Right.
So if I could just, I mean, if I got to struggle for 28 days, knowing that at least at the end of these 28 days, I can pay those bills,
Mm,
that's better than what I was doing. You know what I
absolutely.
mean? But it doesn't stop the fact that, like for example, right now I'm about to pay my rent. I only have $100 left once I pay this rent. I'm
Yeah.
trying not to move into the space of, okay, I'm gonna Instacart after work. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm trying to stay into a space of, all right, God, I paid my tithe. I've been
Mm,
paying it. It's probably like the third or fourth month I paid it, so I feel really good about myself. Like,
right.
you know what I mean? Like, but I'm out of money. Like, and I need money because I still have to drive to and from work for 5 days a week for what is that, 3, 4 weeks without any money coming in. I have
Right.
to feed myself. I have to have the right attitude for my students. Sometimes certain things that we're doing in school, I'm like, dang, it would help if I could buy blah 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 from the store for my students for my class. If you don't have the money to buy it for your class, but you know your class can benefit from it, for me, it makes it hard for me to feel good because it's like, dang, I can't even put my full like effort into this because I don't have the
Right.
money. But
Right.
also like, and I think about it sometimes. I'm like, why do teachers have to pay for that type of stuff? Most jobs you come in, the supplies are there. When you work at Starbucks, you don't have to bring the chocolate chips for the frappuccinos; they're already there.
Right.
Bring a blender, it's already there. You get what I'm saying? When
Yeah.
you're working as a mechanic, the stuff's there. Now, granted, maybe some garages they had to build their own and whatever, but when you're hired, you have access. Like when you go work for Honda as a mechanic, they already have all the stuff. They literally say we have to order the part. They're not ordering the part and buying it out of their own pocket. They're ordering the part
Okay.
from Honda. It's not
Right.
like that. Teachers, we have to provide the stuff that comes into the classroom. And thank God for my parents. I have the best parents. I swear to you. They are so supportive. Like anytime I need something, I communicate it to my class mom, it shows up. It's giving Amazon. Like very great, very concerned, very supportive of their students, and I love that. But that's not
Yeah.
the case for everybody. And then there comes like a boundary where it's like, okay, I can't ask them to fill this classroom with every single thing because we can't act like I'm not getting paid at all. But You know what I'm saying? That's my personality. I feel guilty. I feel I need to take care of this. This is my job. They have their own job and a house full of kids to take care of. You know what I mean? So it could just be like all of those things, trying to figure out the finances and keeping the right attitude, because it's like you're working so hard to get these scores to come up. And then you're like, for what though? I can barely pay my bills and survive until the next check. And y'all are stressing me out about little small details of, I won't even go into it, but small details that you personally, for me, it does not matter. If my child's teacher has a full arm sleeve and 2 nose piercings, how's my child doing in class? Did he catch on to math lesson this week? Was he able to sound out 3 more words than he did last week? Yes? Awesome. You have a great day. That's what I'm worried about. You know what I mean? So when people are worried about little things that don't matter, and I'm like, baby, I want these grades to go up. And I'm still trying to figure out my own stuff, because the check not making it to the end of the month and trying to provide things for my class, that's a whole nother thing. But I still have other bills that don't go paid, that I'm like, okay, like if my phone gets turned off, I don't even have the option to do Instacart in between, just for a quick $30 a day to make ends meet, to have gas and food until my next check. My electricity has gotten turned off twice since I started teaching. Like, and that was scary for me. I didn't grow up that way. My mom has always been very like, your phone has never been turned off, your electricity never been turned off. If our electricity stuff has ever been off, it's probably because it was off, like maintenance outside doing something, or a storm, or I don't know, we have storms like that. But you know what I'm saying? I've never had scenarios where I was without. So now as an adult, where it's like I can't provide for myself. It's like, oh my God, I don't even know, like, you know what I mean? And then, like I said, building your faith. Like, I'm 25. I've been in church since I was a little girl, but now it's like putting your money where your mouth is and really learning the scripture for yourself. So now it's like, okay, I know that if I stay faithful with God, He's gonna stay faithful with me. But when you sit in there, like, all right, God, like the negatives are starting to add up, like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm getting real sinful in the mind, thinking, I can make me some money, Lord. Like, you get what I'm saying? It's just like you don't know what to do. So that's really like the biggest challenge for me personally, because then that stuff starts to make my mental health feel heavy too. Because it's like, I can't even provide for myself. I'm stupid. You bought food. You should have been buying this. Like, you start thinking every purchase you made for you.
So first of all, I learned something new. A couple things new about you, and that's dope. But I wanna take it here because you said so much stuff. It was just so much goodness. I was like, keep going, keep going. But it's number one, I didn't even know that like teachers had to obviously come out of pocket with most of the stuff. So number one, understanding that what you do is purposed work, right? So it's not just a regular, oh, I'm just gonna go and become a mechanic or whatever. Teaching is something where there's so much purpose to that you cannot rely on your own strength and intellect with that. Like you'll just go insane, because you'll have so many battles where you gotta face the parents. That might be extra. You gotta face the students. That might be extra. You gotta face the teacher, the other teachers, your colleagues. Management. That might be extra. You even probably gotta face the curriculum that doesn't make sense. Like, why are we teaching our kids this? So there's several different things that I believe that because of those things, it pushes it into you understanding that we lean off of it just being a regular job, but knowing that I'm doing it for purpose. And because you do it on purpose, that means that you have to get your resources from God. Now, recently we had a conversation, and I sent you, I gave you some homework to look at at our conversation that has to deal with God being a provider. And I want to read word for word what I said wherever it's at. Okay. So I said, I have learned to know God as Jehovah Jireh, which means my provider. I have been in multiple seasons where God has provided for me financially, right? And that was your question was, does God provide for you financially? The key is understanding that God's provision is not an excuse to have no execution. We will he will provide a mindset to get you the financials that you need. He will provide the resources so you can obtain financial freedom. He also has provided gifts within you that is attached to your financial area of your life. And I guess we're probably going to have that same conversation because when I'm hearing this, one thing that I was telling you also is that everything that you need is literally within you. But you have to take that Selah moment, right? And I know you're taking a trip soon. But that could be the moment where you have a Selah moment where you're chilling, is you're at peace because you need to be able to think. I think that's one of the things that has helped me in life is when it comes to these kind of situations, you get to think through the situation. And when you think through the situation, you realize number one, I don't have to fully be working all the time. If I start to um, analyze the situation from its core and its foundation and its roots, I can be able to fix the situation. I believe one of the answers for you is understanding that how do I create more streams of income or at least one extra stream of income without having to do something different. Like, I don't have to take up another job. I don't have to, dump a hell of a lot of money into something. No. What is the thing, right, that I am already doing? And I think that's what I should have that should have been the homework really was list all the things that you're doing right now and then find out how to monetize those things because you are already in school, right? Because you're already in school, not in school, you're already teaching. Because you're already teaching, and I don't know if you're able to record as much, right? But I know some people that specifically one specific person where she's grown her Instagram to about 300,000 followers, but I'm pretty sure way before then she was able to monetize. And she's not doing nothing different except sharing certain key moments of her personality as well as her doing her job. So I think and I see sometimes when you post those, I think that should be I think a portion of that should be on your feed where
Yeah.
you are putting some of those moments. It's super dope. Like you know, the way you're talking to the kids and they respect you, or you have those all moments because they show you how much they love you. I think that could be one of the ways that you are able to monetize. Another way is to be able to not necessarily create a whole specific curriculum, but maybe create a ebook, right? A ebook that can either help the parents with how to do the homework, right? So maybe it's like a interchangeable PDF where every homework assignment you get to offer the teachers, or not teachers, offer the parents, or even something that can help other teachers, your other colleagues, where they're like, you know what, I'll pay the $20 or whatever for that ebook just so I can, be able to do better. And if it's really good, you can have a contract with your own school and say, hey, I offer this service. I'll provide these services as far as the PDFs, where instead of the teachers having to pay it individually, you have the school paying it out of pocket, right? They pay you a specific number, 20,000 or whatever, for you to do this throughout a certain amount of years, and it just gets dumped to all the teachers that come and go out of there. So I think those are some ways to help you when it comes to creating more income.
I think too, when it comes to considering the other ideas, you kind of have to think of like two sides to it almost.
Hmm.
And what I mean is like, so it's either you clock in and clock out and you know your check is coming, or you put that work in and you know like your big day is coming. You know
Right.
what I mean? But
Yeah.
when is your big day? You know the payday.
Right.
Like I said, I know my payday is 28th every month. I know just about how much I get every month. Now, taking that leap of faith, you could have a check bigger than your paycheck, a
Right.
more consistent frequency than your paycheck. But it requires more faith. It requires more work. It requires more trust, and not in yourself, but in God.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that for me, because I've been, and it's so interesting that when I was spending less time with God directly, I had more faith in God. I feel like,
Hmm.
and it was really just based on testimonies. I feel, because like with my mom, it's like I feel we've always figured it out. We've always never gone without. So once I got to Atlanta, I started working as a teacher, a preschool teacher, if you will, like a early childhood education teacher. So I was
Hmm.
working there. My kids were like 2 years old, 3 years old. Stopped working there because I didn't agree with the way that certain things were going down, and I took this leap of faith. I started nannying. So from there, I was nannying, and that was my bread and butter. I was paying rent off of that. I was paying rent off of like Instacart nannying. That was pretty easy. And so I was doing that, was doing good, and I was just like, God's gonna figure it out. It's gonna have to work itself out. So now, fast forward to now, after certain life experience and after some bad decision making on my own end, now it's like, okay, I'd rather just play it safe and not even have to put that work in to trust, because I know you're gonna have to trust. Like, there's gonna be times where you're really like, oh, man, the bill is due tomorrow. The
That
bill
part.
is due tomorrow. And when I had those instances, that's when I would randomly get a text, hey, can you babysit tonight, please? Yeah, I can babysit tonight.
Right.
You want me to stay overnight? Because it's extra. So,
Right.
you know what I mean? It was like that's what would happen. I would literally, like I said, when I was young, I'm like, thank you so much, God. Oh my God, this is amazing. But now it's like putting that same level of trust in God seems more difficult with the more I know. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because when I did it the first time, I didn't know how much could actually go wrong financially. Now
Right.
that so much has gone wrong financially, it's like, okay, let me just do the safest thing. And once I get this together a little bit, then maybe I'll take another leap of faith. You know? And
Yeah.
is it right? I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying anybody should take my same strategy because it's not good. I'm trying to get to a place where it's like, no, bro, you have to just take your hands off and trust the Lord. But I didn't get there
Right.
yet. I didn't.
It, that's definitely. I mean, it's. I think for any and everybody, that's everybody's challenge is trying to take your hands off the wheel. Like you trying to what is it like you are in the what is it when you are what's the word when you're taking your driver's test and you got the other person on the other side, critiquing you and trying to, like, it's almost like you have to be in that driver's seat. I mean, in the passenger seat, and allow God to fully be in the driver's seat. And wherever He takes you, however He go, even if it's down a crazy route or whatever the case may be, you have to be comfortable and confident. Sometimes, sometimes that person in the passenger seat, he try to get that other steering wheel, try to, turn, and God is like, no, what are you doing? Like, let me drive, so I think that's a challenge, like, with everybody, including myself. Like, as much faith as I have, as much of encouragement as I give you and so many other people, I have those moments where I'm like, ah, God, I don't know. I
Put any
don't know.
It's like, no, don't fall for the trap, Rod. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Right. Oh my goodness. But it's what helped me is realizing that and I think I spoke about this on one of the earlier episodes. is understanding that when we talk about idols, we rarely mention. So we always talk about like when we make idol is basically creating other gods before God, right? Before our God, and um, we will make money an idol, we'll make our relationships an idol, we'll make our job an idol, we'll make our talent, our skills, we'll make so many different things an idol, but we rarely transition into thinking, am I my own idol? Have I replaced God? Like, who am I in my life? Am I just me, the student, or am I playing the role of God? And for me, that's what helped me. I had to keep telling myself that stop being the idol and allow him to be the provider, allow him to be your healer, allow him to be the one that's going to be your comfort, and so on and so forth. So that's something that like specifically helped me, because this specifically when it comes to entrepreneurship, it's a journey. It is definitely a journey. Um,
They really
talk to
quick,
me.
like for anybody who does feel like they're trying to build certain things with God, something that's helped me a lot pretty often is just spending the time. And I think a lot of times like people say, spend time with God, spend time with God. It's like, well, how do I do that? Like I can't see him. Do I like make dinner and invite him over? Like how does that work? But I think that for me, like it's really just turned into genuine conversation
Yeah,
and reading my Bible. Even if when I'm reading don't make no sense, just read
right.
it, okay? Because the Bible is literally like I said, I don't want to say magic, but literally it changes you. It's alive. Like
Yeah.
it's a living word. It's literally alive, and
Mm-hmm.
it's going to change things with you that maybe you wouldn't need to change in somebody else. It can figure out what you need. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? It's like going to the little oh my god, what's the man like let's just say we all have the little lamp where the genie comes out. We're not gonna all make the same three wishes. You know what I
Right.
mean? We're all
Yeah.
gonna make our own set of three wishes. Imagine the Bible kind of like that same vibe of it's not gonna fix everything in you the same way it's gonna fix it them. Like they don't have the same addiction, they don't have the same
Right.
struggle, they don't have the same story. So when you listen to preachers and stuff, if the word doesn't make sense or doesn't speak to you, it wasn't for you. Now you
Right.
could read the same passage on your own time and get delivered from your specific thing because the Bible is live. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like you have to just spend time in it and let it change you. And if you don't feel like it's changing you, do it another day. Do it another
Yeah.
day. Do it another day. You're gonna look up 2, 3 weeks from then, a month from then, 2 months from then, like, damn, I don't desire these things anymore at all. I actually
Mm.
feel like my stomach kind of hurt around those types of things now, and I kind of cringe when people do it. You know what I
Mm.
mean? So
Yeah.
don't waste time trying to figure out like, well, I just need to stop smoking. No, you don't. Keep smoking. But when you smoke, read your Bible that day too. Maybe read it
Mm.
twice. You smoked in the morning, read your Bible twice that night. You had sex, that's fine. Did you read your Bible today though? Read it again tomorrow. Read it again the
Mm.
next day. Read it again the next day. Because you're gonna look up one day and be like, I haven't smoked in 3 weeks. Don't know when it started. But you know what I'm saying? I don't even desire having sex. I feel, or at least maybe before you had sex, you get up and go about your business. Now you have sex and you like, Lord, I repent. Why did I do
Yeah.
that? You feeling all of the emotions in it. So just don't overthink what you see everybody else doing. Like I'm tired of the Christian content girlies. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm tired of them because they're not giving you enough information.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about making this modesty thing look good. You have to go
Right.
through a journey to get there.
Yeah.
And to the women who do put that part out there, thank you. But we cannot keep clearing off our entire feed and being like, boom, I'm a modest Christian girl who is waiting for my husband. That's beautiful. And if
Right.
that is your truth, because let's say your mom raised you that way and your mom was that way and that's genuinely your truth, I can respect that. But I'm tired of the girls who they will tell you, oh, in college, I partied, drank, smoked, did this, that, and the third. Don't do it though. It's not worth it. You did it. So you don't.
Right.
How are you going to tell someone that it's not worth it when you went to go do it? Yeah, girl, I've been to this one. It's really not worth it. Don't go, girl. Honestly, just save your money.
Yeah.
You get to make that judgment because you already did it. So I'm not saying tell other people, yeah, go do it too. I'm just saying Don't make it seem like it's just like, oh, you're like, they'll just be telling you you're wasting your time, blah blah blah. You grew up in church and you knew that you were wasting your time when you went and did the same thing that you're telling them not to do. But then instead of just giving them grace or allowing them a safe space to figure out, if you make this same F up that I made, here's how I rerouted and got here. You don't
Yeah.
want to say that though. You just want to wake up and say, this is where I'm at now, and y'all all need to
Right.
start right here. No,
Yeah.
it doesn't work like that. It's not fair.
Yeah.
So I
That's
just
good.
would recommend to read your Bible and spend your time in prayer and let that be the foundation of your relationship with God, and then let it go from there. Don't overthink what you see everybody else doing and feel like I just have to be perfect Christian girl. No. You have to go through the journey, because if you force yourself into that box, you're gonna be amazed how quickly you jump out of it. Because it's fake.
That part.
You're gonna be doing stuff, and then on social media, perfect Christian girly, you just finished taking back shots in the car. So
You talking spicy today. Not her drinking the water after she done spit fire just now.
gotta put that out there.
but I feel that because there is so many there's so many of that where and we we know this, or not know, some of us may know the scriptures, some of us may not, when it talks about just being able to be your testimony is basically what helps other people. And I think I'm sick of it too, right? I believe I'm sick of people, what's the word, not even false advertising, but it's more so that they water down, or they try to skip over, like, yeah, I was a porn star, and then I was this, but God changed my life and all that. It's like, no, 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 no. Tell me what happened. Because the thing about it is, like there's a girl, she had a I think I sent you her profile. She had a porn addiction,
Yeah, you did. You said it.
right? And like, the even though all she talks about now is about God, but she explains the whole process. She gives you steps. She gives you even daily scriptures. She gives you the whole journey. Even still now, like, it's still obviously going to be a challenge, because just because you're delivered from it doesn't mean that you're not going to face the temptations of that same thing that you was delivered from.
Mhm.
So I honor when it comes to that. But when it comes to, like, oh, I wanna be on social media, or create my own podcast, and I wanna tell you all the gems and all of this, but it's gonna have no substance if I don't know where it came from.
Right.
Like
Right.
like there's people that, for an example, have become millionaires, but they've become millionaires because some of them were it was passed down. Am I saying that that's a negative thing? No, that's a beautiful thing. That's absolutely what we want, right? But you can't say, oh, I've been, going through this journey of, creating businesses and all of that, when you already knew. You didn't really fail much, or you had limited time to fail, right? I'm a person that I'd prefer, give me the struggle. Like, let me know, let me know that, okay, maybe maybe the wealth or the businesses was passed down, but now you had to struggle with identity, because everybody knows you of your parents, but it's hard to separate you from your parents. It's like, okay, I see your parent, instead of I see you as a person, you know like the struggle
Value.
is.
They still see the value, like, oh, your dad is the greatest, da da da. But it's like, but did you know I'm even better than him at blah blah blah? They'll never give you that credit because
No,
they see you.
you're right, man. It hits home, because, like, and I've heard, it was a podcast I was watching, I want to say about 2 months ago, and he was talking about the differences between a millionaire and a billionaire. And one of the main differences is that the billionaire focuses on not just systems, right? I think they moved past systems, and they focus on the what's the word? The calculated risk. right? So they're willing to, or not even calculated the risk, their mess ups. They're willing to do what it takes, right? As a billionaire, they're willing to do what it takes, but also take a loss of $100 million, $200 million. Like they're like, okay, this is cool. Let me bounce back. But when it comes to a millionaire, you're and I'm not saying that all millionaires are like this, but there are some that are struggling to even stay afloat as a millionaire. You know, some people haven't even seen 300,000 profit. They're still at 20,000, 30,000 or less. And it's like, how are you even, you're not focused on the mess ups. You want to alleviate the mess ups, but that's what helps you grow.
Yeah.
You know, this is so good. This is this is good. I want to transition a little bit. Um, and I want to talk because I know we're running out of time and we could talk forever. But I want to talk about the last time we had a conversation. I believe I was talking to you about like the different things of what you want to, like, what you're passionate about, like some of your ideas. What are some of those things that you want to like create or even be a part of?
Things that I want to create and be a part of. There's so many that like you could think of the last conversation and I could mention a whole new list of stuff. Like that's the crazy part. Um, but things that I want to be a part of, I just want to be a part of making the Black community stronger. Which has a lot to do with my desire to open up a women's center when I'm done with my degree.
Hmm.
Um, that's something that I really, really want to do, just
Hmm.
to like I feel like in my brain it's like if you strengthen the Black woman, you strengthen the Black family, you strengthen the Black household.
Right.
Because I feel like in the Black family, regardless who wants to admit it or not, a lot of the strength comes from the Black.
Right.
So if we strengthen her and we uplift her and give her the support she needs,
Hmm.
like, and we already killing stuff as it is, baby. What, cool, Lord, what's to say will happen once we actually have the real, genuine support and safe spaces that we actually been needing from day
Yeah.
one, never had. You know,
Mm.
that's definitely one thing that I'm very um, eager to create. Uh, I definitely still want to do other things that are more calm, like having a cupcake business or a bakery. My family is very into cooking and baking, and I think we take a lot of pride in like, when I cook this, eat it, and it's like, oh, that's good. You know what I mean? Like we love to like flex with our little dishes, and it's to the point where like it'd be like, oh, I just made a little something, and it's like, girl, now you know this is about to be good. Stop trying to act like it's whatever, you know. But that's another thing that I do want to do more with. I want to figure out how I can really help with the homeless community in the
Mm.
America, especially in like LA, like where I'm
Mm.
from, California. Um, I want to just reduce. I'm not from LA. I'm from California. My bad. I want to make sure that's clear. I was talking to someone yesterday, and they were like, "Why are California people always so territorial about what part they're from?" I said, "Because everything is a little different in each part. So you can't
Yeah.
claim one. If you try to claim LA and you act like me, people gonna be like, you ain't from LA.
Right.
So
Right.
like, you gotta be careful."
Yeah.
But yeah, I do want to do a lot of stuff. Like most of the things that I'm passionate about is to help other people. So even with like my cupcakes, like I want it to be someone's like um nostalgia almost, you know, like I want to create cupcake flavors that are similar to like Black cultural stuff where it's like, oh, my grandma always made a pecan pie, or you know, it always reminds me of her to do this or whatever, you know. So my
Mm.
menu will be based on like my granny. She's passed away, but my grandma will have a cupcake, my mom will have a cupcake, my dad will have a cupcake. Everybody's gonna
Mm.
have a cupcake based on them in my
Okay.
family. So it can be based on their personality, it can be based on their flavor palette that they like, it could be based on something that they did. Like my sister went to Japan when I was young. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. I could make a Japanese based cupcake just for a certain season, you know what I mean, to
Right.
represent my sister. But she's also a dancer, like she's a really great dancer. So I could do a cupcake like that, you know. So it
Mm.
just doing stuff to always help people is typically what I'm running towards. Even my
Mm.
YouTube channel, like my YouTube channel, I created it because I wanted people to get a view of a average regular person. Like you don't need these glamorous, like you don't need a glam life to record your life. You could literally, like there's people who record and they'll be like living in my car. All you need is an
Yeah,
iPhone to make a YouTube channel. You don't need all these elaborate things. So, like you can you could do it too. Because I would just hear people like, "Oh, that's so cool. I wish I could." What are you wishing for? You have a phone. Turn
that
the
part.
camera on. What do you want to talk about? It doesn't matter if nobody watches it. It's not about who watches it. Do you feel better after you posted it? You know, and just showing people like, the people you watch, they show you the good times. Well, I'm gonna show you the good times and the bad times and the
Right.
times in between. And I got the feedback from some people like, well, nobody wants to turn a video on and feel depressed. Okay, nobody does want to turn a video on and feel depressed, but people want to turn a video on and feel seen.
That part.
So they want to feel relatable. They want to feel like you're personable. So some people might look at a video that they're depressed themselves. They might watch a video of a girl talking about her own depression and feel triggered or don't want to watch it. Some people might watch it and be like, oh God, this girl can be depressed too. Okay, if
Mm.
she's depressed, I don't feel as bad about myself being depressed because I thought she would never be depressed. Look at her life, you
Right.
know. So just giving people a real reality is the reason why I do the channel. So those are just like some random things, but like everything that I do typically tends to helping other people. Which I think maybe that's just my gift because I've been this way since I was a little girl. I've always just wanted to help, like, or I wanted to be part of something. Or I wanted to help. That's always been me.
Okay, look at you. Oh, I see you, killer. I see you. Well, this has definitely been an amazing episode. I'm definitely honored to have you back again, and I know this is definitely not going to be the last time for sure. So, I want you to end it off. Two things. Number one is I want you to talk to the woman that is facing struggles in her life, right? She is working or whatnot. Maybe she got kids, maybe she doesn't. Maybe she might be in a relationship, right? And she's facing the struggles of I want to say everything happening all at once, like all of the struggles in her relationship, the struggles or the battles at work, and then just the mental health. Like, what are some words of wisdom that you can give that woman? And after you say that, I want you to just close it out with how people can find you and support your channels and everything.
Okay. I would say to that woman who is just like you said, hardworking, focused, has a lot going on, trials and tribulations, in trouble, try to find her, and grab her and shake her up. To that woman, honestly, I would just say take your time as much as you can in any space that you can. So if let's say for example you're a woman who does have a kid or kids and you're the person who has to take them to school before you go to work. If you're waking the household up at 6 o'clock, wake up at 5:50. Wake up at 5:50, go to the restroom, rinse your face off, breathe, breathe. Write a sentence down in a journal if you want to, pray if you want to, but just take that moment to breathe. Because if you're always that's too much. You're gonna lose it at some point, or you're gonna snap on your kid. You're gonna snap on your man. You're gonna snap at work. So take at least that. If it's just 10 minutes, take that time, carve it out for yourself, and breathe.
Mm.
I would highly recommend that you find some level of community somewhere. If you cannot find community in a actual like physical space, because I know having community means you have time for community. Some people don't. Find a YouTuber that you resonate with. Find somebody on social media that you resonate with, and allow yourself to watch their channels or to, engage with their content to allow you some sort of a safe space to be like, okay, like I'm not the only one, because that's also very important. If you start to isolate yourself and feel like I'm the only f up, I'm the only person struggling with this, that's 9 times out of 10 that's not correct. No,
Mm.
no experience, no human experience is all that unique. So
Right.
like you gotta find somewhere that people can actually resonate with you. And then my last little tidbit would really just be lean on God, like I said earlier in this episode. Read your Bible, pray. Read your Bible, pray. Read your Bible, pray. Read your Bible, pray. I don't care if the prayer sounds um like the prayer I prayed earlier. I was just crying. I said, God, I'm really sad about that. That makes me very sad. And I was
Mm,
talking about the death of those people in the crash. I said that
mm,
sad. That hurts my feelings. I said it bothers me. It bothers me that there was young students or young children who were probably excited to get on that flight and then they passed away. I said it bothers me that I don't know, were they afraid? Did they know that things were happening? Or did it just happen fast enough that they did? I'm telling God, I'm upset. That makes me sad. That hurts me. That was
right,
the end of the prayer. I didn't have anything else to say.
right,
But I
right,
prayed. Now, what is God going to do with that prayer? I don't know. But I gave it to him because it bothered me. It hurt my feelings. And I didn't like to hear that news. It really hurt me. Like, I don't like that. So use your voice. Give God those concerns. Even if it's God, like, I hate that I don't have a long enough lunchtime. I don't care what it is. Pray, read your Bible. Pray, read your Bible. Eventually, you're going to find yourself praying. Instead of waking up at 5:50, you might be waking up at 5:30 praying. You know what I mean? For a whole 30 minutes before you wake up the house. But just start small. Wake up a little bit earlier. Find you some community. Pray, Bible. That's my best advice that I really can give you because that's what works for me.
right.
Um, where you can find me, I'm everywhere. No, but I have a YouTube channel called Rise Rocky Road, so you can definitely follow me there or subscribe there. I respond to my comments. I post as much as I can, even if I'm not posting. You can still comment and I will respond. My Instagram is mariahmurray.318. You can follow me there. I have a TikTok. It's the same, mariahmurray.318. I don't really post on TikTok. I don't really use TikTok. My main apps is really Instagram and YouTube. So I think that's really it. I have a Waist Speaks business that is currently on hold, so I don't really promote it much, but that is Wasted with Raya on Instagram, WAISTED with Raya. So there's a couple spots you can find me. I would highly recommend if you are into mental health and things of that nature to follow me on Instagram. And if you remember to DM me and say, "Hey, I saw you on the YPM. I'm following you for that," so I can follow you back. I will be doing some workshops coming up. Um, There'll be some coming up that have already passed earlier in the year, but there will be more later in the year as well. My first one will be based about stress management. That's one that has already passed, but I will have women specific workshops coming up. So if
Mm,
that sounds like something you want to be part of, I would love to have you. I'd love to have you. I'd love to have that conversation. It could be like this. It could be like one on one, whatever. So just let me know. I am a master's student intern for social work, so I am also offering like free therapy services as an intern. So technically, it's not therapy, but it's free. Mental health, God, all things. So check me out and don't be shy. Comment and all those things. I respond to everybody. If y'all can't tell, I like to talk. So
Don't be shy now. Hit her up, y'all. You just heard it from the queen of the hour. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you for stopping by as always. If you have not subscribed to the channel, I suggest you type in your search bar YPMPOD. That's YPMPOD, and you are going to see us on YouTube where you can actually subscribe to the podcast. If you want to be a guest of the podcast, I suggest you DM me on Instagram at Your Perspective Matters on Instagram, and I will be gladly assist you on signing up so I can send you the form. And we're going to get to work. Why? Because your perspective matters. So I'll see you on the next episode.